The galaxy was burning, and everyone knew it, from the outer rim to the core. Worlds, massive fleets clashed in space. Battles that lit up entire star systems. The war had been going on for 3 years. Now, and there seemed to be no end in sight. On one side stood the hegemony, alliance made up of some of the most powerful species in the galaxy. The Zephyrians could read minds and talk. Without speaking, the Korath were born. Warriors who lived for battle. The Vex had technology so advanced it seemed like magic. Fighting against them was the Dominion Empire. At its heart were the Swarm, a species that shared one giant mind across billions of bodies. They had enslaved dozens of other races and forced them to fight. Their ships moved like hungry insects across the stars, consuming everything in their path. Between these two giants sat one small blue planet that refused to pick a side. Earth. Ambassador Chen Wei stood before the Galactic Senate looking out at hundreds of alien faces. Some had scales, others had tentacles, and a few glowed with their own light. All of them were staring at him with the same question in their eyes. When would humanity finally join the war? Honored members of the Senate, Chen said, his voice calm and steady. Earth's position has not changed. We have seen the cost of this war. We have counted the dead on both sides. We will provide food, medicine, and safe harbor to any who need it, but we will not take up weapons. We will not choose between your armies. A corps general slammed his massive fist on his desk. His red skin grew darker with anger. You speak of costs, human. Every day you delay, more worlds burn. Your neutrality helps no one. Our neutrality helps everyone, Chen replied. Our hospitals treat wounded from both sides. Our ships carry refugees to safety. Our worlds offer homes to those who have lost everything. This is how Earth chooses to serve the galaxy. A Vex ambassador's crystalline form sparkled as it spoke through. Trancel, you are naive, human. This war will decide the future of all civilization. There can be no middle ground. Chen smiled sadly. There is always a middle ground. It is called peace. The Senate chamber erupted in clicks, roars, and electronic sounds as dozens of species argued. Some called humanity cowards. Others said they were fools. A few whispered that perhaps Earth was wise. But these voices were quickly shouted down. What none of them knew was that while they argued, human ships moved quietly through space. The medical frigate Hippocrates was pulling survivors from a destroyed colony ship. The cargo vessel Good Samaritan was delivering food to a refugee camp. The research ship Curiosity was studying the wreckage of a recent battle, learning from every piece of destroyed technology. Captain Sarah Martinez stood on the bridge of the Hippocrates, watching her crew work to save lives. They had pulled 43 beings from the wreckage so far. Some were core warriors, others were swarm drones who had somehow broken free from the collective mind. Our medical teams treated them all the same. Captain, our first officer called out, we're getting a distress signal from the Kepler system. Civilian transport under attack. Set course immediately, Martinez ordered. Full speed. As they jumped to hyperspace, Martinez thought about the meeting she had attended last week on Earth. It had been classified, held deep underground in the Rocky Mountains. Fleet Admiral Jackson had stood before a room full of officers and shown them things that would have surprised the galaxy. Earth shipyards were not building hospital ships and cargo hauler. Those ships existed, yes, but They were converted from something else. Something much more dangerous, the human fleet was larger than anyone suspected. Their weapons were different from what the galaxy used, but not weaker. Their strategies were based on studying every battle, every tactic, every mistake both sides had made. We are not pacifists, Admiral Jackson had told them. We are patient. There is a difference now. As the Hippocrates dropped out of hyperspace near a burning transport, Martinez understood that patience, the transport, was a Zephyrian vessel carrying families to safety. The attackers were swarm raiders, small and fast ships designed to capture rather than destroy. This is Captain Martinez of the Earth vessel Hippocrates. She broadcast on all frequencies. We are here to provide medical assistance to the transport. Any interference will be met with appropriate response. The swarm ships ignored her. They continued their attack, trying to disable the transport's engines. Martinez sighed and nodded to her weapons officer. The Hippocrates had been a battleship once. Before they mounted medical bays where the gun decks used to be, but some of those weapons were still there, hidden and waiting. Kinetic projectiles shot out from hidden ports along the ship's hull. They moved at incredible speed, too fast for the swarm ships to dodge. Two of the riggers simply disappeared in flashes of light and metal. The third tried to run but found itself facing the Hippocrates' main gun, a massive magnetic accelerator that could punch through any shield. Swarm vessel, this is your final warning, Martinez said calmly. Leave this area immediately or be destroyed. The raider jumped to hyperspace without another shot. Martinez turned to her crew. Rescue operations begin now. I want every survivor off the transport in the next hour. As her teams worked, Martinez thought about what the galaxy did not understand about humanity. They saw Earth's refusal to fight as weakness. They thought humans were afraid of war. They were wrong on both counts. Humans were not afraid of war. They were afraid of what they might become if they started fighting. Every human leader remembered the old stories, the ones from before they reached the stars, wars that had nearly destroyed their world, weapons that could kill millions in an instant. The long, slow work of learning to live in peace. The patience had its limits and mercy had its price. Back on Earth in the same underground facility, Admiral Jackson was updating Project Contingency. The files contained plans that would have shocked both sides of the galactic war, not because they were primitive, but because they were so very human. Humans had learned something that the Bayon galaxy had forgotten in its rush to bigger guns and faster ships. Wars were not won by the strongest army or the best technology. They were won by the side that could keep fighting the longest, the side that could adapt the fastest, the side that could turn their enemy's strength into weakness. Earth was ready for war. They had always been ready. They simply preferred peace. The question was how long would the galaxy let them keep it? The war was getting worse. Captain Sarah Martinez had seen many terrible things in the past year, but nothing like what she found in the Vega system. The planet below had once been home to 2 billion people. Now it was just black glass and radioactive dust. The Vex had used planet cracker weapons to destroy it completely when swarm forces tried to capture it. My God, whispered her navigator, staring at the readings. There's nothing left. No life shines at all. Martinez clenched her fists. This was the fourth world she had seen. Destroyed this month, the war was spiraling out of control. Both sides were using weapons that should never have been built. They were killing billions to save millions. It made no sense. Captain, we're receiving a signal from an escape pod. Her communications officer reported, it's weak, but there's someone alive out there. Bring them aboard immediately. The survivor was a young Zephyrian girl, maybe 10 years old. In human terms, her purple skin was pale from radiation sickness, and her large eyes were filled with tears. Through her telepathic abilities, Martinez could feel her pain and terror. My family, the girl whispered in broken galactic standard. They were helping people evacuate. The bombs came so fast. Martinez knelt beside the medical bed where the child lay. You're safe now. We'll take care of you. But even as she said it, Martinez wondered if anywhere was truly safe anymore. The Hippocrates was carrying over 3,000 refugees now. Her ship was designed to hold maybe 500 people comfortably. Every quarter was packed with families who had lost their homes. The cargo bays have been converted into temporary living spaces. The hydroponics labs were working around the clock to produce enough food, and they were not alone. Hundreds of Earth ships were doing the same thing across the galaxy. Some estimates said that Earth was now caring for over 50 million refugees from both sides of the war. Cost was enormous, but humanity kept paying it back on Earth. Ambassador Chen Wei sat in his office reading reports that made his heart heavy. His daughter Lisa was working at Luna Station Omega, the massive orbital facility that had become the main processing center for refugees. She sent him messages every day about the people they were helping, but also about the stories they told. Thought stories of core warriors burning civilian ships because they thought mercy was weakness. Stories of swarm weapons that turned people into mindless slaves. Stories of Vex commanders who erased entire cultures because they were inefficient. Father Lisa had written in her last message, I understand why we stay neutral, but sometimes I wonder if our neutrality helps the wrong people. We save car civilians and their military uses that to justify more attacks. We heal swarm victims and their queens just make more soldiers. Are we making the war longer by helping both sides survive? Chun stared at the message for a long time before deleting it. He could not let anyone else see such thoughts. Even if he shared them, the pressure on Earth was growing stronger every day. The G-Mani Admiral Vexstar had announced that any ship trading with Earth would be considered suspicious. Swarm Queen Node Zeris had offered humanity advanced technology in exchange for just one military base in their territory. The United Earth Council met in emergency session almost every week. Now, the debates were growing more heated. We cannot continue this, argued Councillor Singh from the African Union. Our economy is collapsing under the weight of caring for all these refugees. Our own people are starting to ask why we help aliens more than ourselves. Because it is the right thing to do, replied Councillor Petrov from the Slavic Federation. We are the only hope for peace in this galaxy. If we start choosing sides, we become part of the problem. Councillor Washington from the American states slammed her hand on the table. And what happens when they bring the war to our door? What happens when they decide we are too dangerous to leave alone? Fleet Admiral Jackson stood up slowly. He was an old man now with gray hair and tired eyes, but when he spoke, everyone listened. The day may come when we have to fight, he said. Quietly, if it does, we will be ready. Project Contingency is proceeding on schedule, but until someone forces our hand, we stay the course. What Project Contingency actually involved was classified above most of the council. Security level, only a few people knew that Earth's massive relief effort was also the largest military preparation human history. Every medical ship had hidden weapon systems. Every cargo hauler could carry troops and supplies for invasion forces. Every research vessel was mapping hyperspace routes and enemy positions. The refugee camps were more than just temporary homes. They were intelligence-gathering operations. Every person Earth helped was also a source of information about enemy capabilities, tactics, and weaknesses. Human analysts were building the most complete picture of galactic military strength that had ever existed, and in secret facilities across Earth's solar system, human engineers were working on something that would shock the galaxy. They were not just copying alien technology, they were improving it, making it faster, stronger, more efficient. Humans had always been good at taking other people's ideas and making them better. Now they were applying that talent to weapons of war. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Elena Vasquez was studying captured swarm bioweapons when she noticed something interesting. The aliens used biological computers that were incredibly fast but also incredibly fragile. A simple electrical pulse could shut them down completely. This changes everything, she told Admiral Jackson in their secret meeting. We've been thinking about this war wrong. Everyone focuses on bigger guns and stronger shields, but what if we don't need to be stronger? What if we just need to be smarter? Jackson nodded. Slowly, show me what you have in mind. What Dr. Vasquez showed him was a weapon that could shut down entire fleets without killing a single person. It was elegant, efficient, and completely unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was very human. Meanwhile, on Luna Station Omega, Dr. Lisa Chan was working another 18-hour shift. Latest refugee ship had brought survivors from a Car military academy that had been destroyed by swarm raiders. Most of them were teenagers, young warriors who had trained their whole lives for battle only to watch their teachers die in front of them. One of them, a boy with red skin and golden eyes, reminded Lisa of her human students back on Earth. Why do your people help us? He asked in halting galactic standard. We are your enemies. Enemies? By helping us, you help them hurt your other guests. Lisa paused in her work. It was a good question, one she had been asking herself more and more lately, because she said finally, someone has to remember that there's a difference between soldiers and people. Someone has to believe that this war will end someday, and when it does, we'll all have to live together again. The core boy thought about this for a moment. Your people are very strange, he said, but I think I understand. You fight the war by refusing to fight it. Something like that, Lisa agreed. She did not tell him about the secret reports she filed every week, reports about Karth military structures, swarm biological weaknesses, Vex technological gaps, reports that went to places she was not supposed to know about. Earth was preparing for war even while working for peace. The question was whether they would have enough time to finish their preparations across the galaxy. extremist voices were growing louder on both sides. They called Earth's neutrality an insult. They said humanity was profiting from the war while real soldiers died. They demanded action. And sometimes the loudest voices were the ones that got heard. General Korvik of the Core Fleet was one of those voices. He had lost 3 sons in the war, and his hatred burned like a star. To him, Earth's neutrality was not peaceful, it was cowardly. They hide behind their medicine and mercy, he told his officers. They pretend to be above the fight while we bleed for civilization itself. It is time to show them the cost of their cowardice. His plan was simple: one quick strike against a civilian target, nothing too important, just enough to show Earth that neutrality had a price. Once they understood that, they would join the Hegemony Alliance and add their industrial capacity to the war effort. It seemed like such a reasonable idea that it would turn out to be the biggest mistake in galactic history. General Korv stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue marble of Earth grow larger on the main screen. His red skin was dark with determination, and his golden eyes burned with purpose. Behind him, 2 other Korth dreadnoughts moved through space like hunting predators. Target confirmed, General. His tactical officer reported. Luna Station Omega, bearing 27 Mark V. 50,000 life forms aboard. Perfect. Korvik growled. Large enough to make our point, small enough that the humans cannot claim we started a real war. Begin the attack. Korvik believed he was being clever. Luna Station Omega was technically a civilian facility, so destroying it would not be an act of war against Earth's military, but it housed refugees from both sides of the galactic conflict, so its destruction would show the cost of trying to help everyone. In Korvik's mind, this would force Earth to choose sides. They would join the Hegemony Alliance and add their industrial might to the war effort. The attack would save millions of lives by shortening the conflict. He was wrong about everything. On Luna Station Omega, Dr. Lisa Chung was finishing her shift. In Medical Bay 7, she had just helped deliver a baby, the first child born to a pair of Zephyrian refugees who had fled the destruction of their home world. The parents had asked her to be the child's honorary aunt, a gesture that meant more to Lisa than they could know. Dr. Chun called Nurse Rodriguez from across the bay. We've got incoming wounded from the transport that just docked. Some kind of swarm weapon exposure. Lisa nodded and headed toward the emergency treatment area. She passed the observation windows that looked out at Earth hanging in space like a blue gem. Sometimes she wondered what her father was doing down there in his meetings and debates. Sometimes she wished the politicians would just come up here and see what war really looked like. She never made it to the treatment area. First plasma torpedo hit Luna Station's main habitat ring with the force of a small star. The blast tore through bulkheads like paper and vaporized everything in its path. Lisa had just enough time to see a wall of fire racing toward her before the universe turned white. Ambassador Chen Wei was in a council meeting when his aide burst through the door. Sir, Luna Station is under attack. Korith vessels. 3 of them. They're at there, destroying everything. Chun felt the blood drain from his face. Lisa, he whispered, then louder, my daughter is on that station. He ran from the council chamber, his aide struggling to keep up. In the hallway wall screen showed the attack happening in real time, the massive orbital facility home to 50,000 refugees from across the galaxy was breaking apart under sustained plasma bombardment. Du Chun watched in horror as sections of the station exploded in silence, spilling atmosphere and debris into space. Emergency pods were launching, but so few of them, too few, sir, his aide said. Gently, communications with the station have been cut. We don't know. Chun was not listening. He was watching his life's work die before his eyes. All those people he had tried to save, all those families who had trusted Earth to keep them safe, all those children on the core flagship. General Korvac watched the destruction with satisfaction. The station was breaking apart nicely, and the message would be clear. Earth's neutrality was an illusion. They could not protect anyone, not even themselves. Send the message to Earth, he ordered. His communications officer opened a channel to the planet below. Korvac's image appeared on screens across Earth. His fang smile visible as he spoke. People of Earth, he said, this is what neutrality costs. Every day you refuse to choose a side, more innocence. Join the Hegemony Alliance. Add your strength to ours and help us end this war, or watch your worlds burn one by one. He cut the transmission and turned to his officers. Set course for the jump point. Our work here is done. But their work was far from done. In fact, it was just beginning. Fleet Admiral Jackson was in his underground command center when the attack happened. He watched the destruction of Luna Station on 12 different screens, each showing the death of thousands of innocent people. People Earth had promised to protect. His staff looked at him with shock and growing anger. Commander Torres, his tactical officer, spoke first. Sir, we have to respond. They just murdered 50,000 civilians. Jackson said nothing. He was thinking about a conversation he had with Ambassador Chen Wei 5 years ago when they first started planning for this possibility. If it comes to war, Chun had asked, will we be ready? Yes. Jackson had replied, but the question is, will we still be human when it's over? Now Jackson knew the answer. They were about to find out. Sir, Commander Torres pressed. What are your orders? Jackson stood up slowly. Around the command center, hundreds of officers and analysts waited for his response. Some of them had tears in their eyes. Others looked ready to kill someone with their bare hands. Contact General Korvac. Ship, Jackson said quietly. Communication went through quickly. Korvac appeared on the main screen, still smiling with satisfaction. Behind him, the wreckage of Luna Station glowed. In the distance, Admiral Jackson. Korvac said mockingly, I trust you. Receive my message. Are you ready to discuss Earth's entry into the Alliance? Jackson looked at the corral for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was cold as deep space. General Korvac, you have just attacked and destroyed a civilian facility under Earth's protection. You have murdered 50,000 innocent beings, including refugees from both sides of this war. This is not an act of war against Earth. This is an act of war against humanity itself. Kick's smile faltered slightly. Something in the human's tone was not what he had expected. Jackson continued. You wanted to see what happens when Earth chooses a side. You wanted to force us into your war. Congratulations, General, you have succeeded, but you have made one critical mistake. And what is that, human? Korvac snarled. Jackson's expression never changed. You Assumed we would fight your war. You are wrong. This is not us joining your conflict. This is us beginning our own. He made a gesture, and the communication cut off. In the silence that followed, Commander Torres asked, "Sir, what are your orders?" Jackson turned to address his entire staff. "Activate Project Contingency. Full implementation. Contact all Earth vessels in the field and give them authorization. Zulu, recall all civilian ships to Earth space and get me a line to the President." As his people scrambled to carry out his orders, Jackson thought about the young doctor who had died on Luna Station. Lisa Chun had spent her life helping others, caring for refugees from species that most humans had never even met. She had been the best of humanity. And General Korvik had murdered her because he thought Earth was weak. Across the galaxy, Earth civilian ships began receiving coded transmissions. Medical vessels like the Hippocrates suddenly sprouted weapons that had been hidden for years. Cargo haulers opened concealed hangar bays and launched fighter squadrons. Research ships activated military sensors that could track enemy movements across entire star systems. Captain Sarah Martinez stood on the bridge of the Hippocrates as it transformed around her. A medical ship was becoming what it had always been. Underneath, a heavy cruiser capable of fighting anything in space. Captain Her weapons officer reported, "All systems are online. Kinetic projectile batteries, plasma cannon, fusion torpedoes all ready for action." Martinez nodded grimly. She thought about all the wounded she had treated, all the refugees she had saved. She thought about the young Karth warrior who had asked why humans helped everyone. She thought about Luna Station burning in the void. Plot a course for General Korvik's last known position. She ordered, "We have a message to deliver on Earth." President Williams addressed the world from the same chamber where Ambassador Chun had so often spoken of peace. "My fellow humans," she said, "for 5 years we have chosen the path of neutrality. We have tried to heal the wounds of a galactic war while staying above its hatred. Today, those who benefit from that hatred have shown us the price of mercy." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "Luna Station Omega is gone. 50,000 innocent beings are dead. Among them was Dr. Lisa Chun, daughter of our ambassador, who spent her life caring for refugees from across the galaxy. She died trying to save a baby that had been born just hours before the attack." The president's voice hardened. "This is not about choosing sides in someone else's war. This is about defending the innocent against those who would prey upon them. This is about showing the galaxy that there are still those who believe in something better than endless violence." She stood up. "Effective immediately. Earth is withdrawing from all neutrality agreements. We are not joining the Hegemony Alliance. We are not joining the Dominion Empire. We are creating a third option, the defense of those who cannot defend themselves." Across human space, ships began moving with purpose. They had hidden for years. The time for patience was over. The galaxy was about to learn what humans really were when someone they loved was threatened. And General Korvik was about to discover that some sleeping giant should never be awakened. General Korvik was feeling quite pleased with himself as his 3 dreadnoughts traveled toward the jump point. The destruction of Luna Station had been swift and efficient. Soon Earth would realize the cost of their foolish neutrality and join the War properly, he was reviewing reports from the attack when his sensor officer called out an alarm, general contact on. Long-range sensors, single vessel human. Configuration approaching fast, Korvik looked up from his reports, one ship. What class? Unknown, sir. It appears to be a medical vessel based on the whole configuration, but general, it's moving much faster than our intelligence suggested human ships could travel. Korvik laughed, a harsh sound that echoed around the bridge. One medical ship against 3 dreadnoughts. The humans are even more foolish than I thought. Prepare to destroy it. The approaching ship was the Hippocrates, now revealed in its true form, Captain Sarah Martinez stood on her bridge, watching the chorus vessels grow larger on her. Screens around her, systems that had been hidden for years, hummed with deadly purpose. Distance to target, she asked. 50,000 km and closing. Her navigator reported weapon status, all systems green, kinetic batteries loaded and ready, main gun charged to full capacity. Martinez nodded. Open a channel to the lead car vessel, General. Korvik's surprised face appeared on her screen. Behind him she could see his crew scrambling to battle stations. I am Captain Sarah Martinez of the Earth vessel Hippocrates, she said calmly. You are responsible for the destruction of Luna Station Omega and the murder of 50,000 civilians. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. Korvik stared at her in disbelief. You dare make demands of me, human? You fly one small ship against my fleet, General. Martinez replied. You made a mistake. When you attacked Luna Station, you assumed you were fighting the same humans you thought you knew. You were wrong. She cut the communication and turned to her weapons officer. Fire. What happened next changed everything. The galaxy thought it knew about human technology that the Hippocrates did not. Fire energy weapons like plasma cannons or laser batteries. Instead, it launched solid projectiles using magnetic acceleration. The kinetic rounds moved at nearly 10% the speed of light. Too fast for the core ships to track. Too fast to dodge. The first round punched through General Korvik's flagship like it was made of paper. Korath shields designed to stop energy weapons were useless against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The projectile went through the ship's armor, through its hull, through its engine core, and out the other side. The dreadnought simply broke apart. The second car ship tried to return fire, but its plasma cannons could not lock onto the Hippocrates. The human vessel was moving in ways that should have been impossible, changing direction without turning, accelerating without visible thrust. How are they doing that? Shouted the corps captain as another kinetic round destroyed his port weapons array. His science officer was frantically checking readings. Sir, their propulsion system is completely different from ours. They're not using reaction drives. It's some kind of field manipulation technology. The third core ship attempted to escape, jumping to hyperspace before the humans could target it, but when it arrived at its destination, the Hippocrates was already they're waiting. Captain Martinez opened another communication channel. You cannot run from what you have done, she told the terrified corps. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to galactic law. The corps captain, seeing the wreckage of his companion ships floating in space, made the wise choice. We surrender. Please do not destroy us. Prepare to be boarded, Martinez replied. You will answer for your Crimes, news of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. General Karvik's fleet, 3 of the most powerful warships in the Karth arsenal, had been destroyed by a single human vessel that most databases classified as a medical transport, but that was just the beginning. Across 12 star systems, human ships dropped out of hyperspace simultaneously. These were not the peaceful cargo haulers and hospital ships the galaxy thought they knew. These were warships that had been hiding in plain sight. Terra's wrath under Admiral Martinez's command appeared over the primary Karth military academy. The massive facility trained 50,000 young warriors each year. It was surrounded by defensive platforms and patrol ships. Attention Korath Military Command, Admiral Martinez broadcast: this facility has been designated a military target in response to your unprovoked attack on civilian refugees. You have 1 hour to evacuate all personnel. The Corps Commander, Admiral Veskar, responded with typical arrogance. You dare threaten us, human? We have defended this system for 1,000 years. You have 59 minutes, Martinez replied and cut the communication. What followed was not really a battle. It was a demonstration. Human weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of trying to overpower enemy shields with bigger guns, they simply ignored the shields entirely. Kinetic projectiles punched through energy barriers. Fusion torpedoes created gravitational anomalies that crushed ships from the inside, and, strangest of all, some human weapons did not destroy anything at all. Dr. Elena Vasquez's electrical pulse devices shut down entire fleets without killing a single crew member. Korath and Swarm ships simply went dark, their weapons offline, their engines dead, their crews unharmed but helpless. This is impossible, Admiral Veskar transmitted as his own flagship systems failed. Around him, our computers show no damage, but nothing works. That's the point, Admiral Martinez replied. We don't want to destroy you, we want to stop you. Within 6 hours, 12 major military installations across the galaxy had fallen to human forces, not destroyed but captured. The crews and personnel were treated well, given food and medical care, then sent home with a message. The message was simple: stop the war. In the Galactic Senate, emergency sessions were called on both sides. Hegemony and Dominion leaders demanded explanations. How had Earth hidden such advanced technology? How had their intelligence agencies missed an entire human fleet? The answer came from an unexpected source: Ambassador Chen Wei, whose daughter had died in the attack on Luna Station, stood before the Senate one last time, but he was no longer the peaceful diplomat who had spoken of neutrality and mercy. Honored members, he said, his voice carrying a pain that made even hardened warriors uncomfortable. You have asked how Earth hid its military capabilities. The answer is simple: we did not hide them. You refused to see them. He activated a holographic display that showed images from across the galaxy, human relief ships that were actually converted, battleships, cargo vessels that carried hidden fighter squadrons, research stations that were monitoring every military communication in the galaxy. For 5 years you watched our ships, Chun continued. You saw our technology, you knew our industrial capacity, but you assumed that because we chose peace, we were incapable of War you confused restraint with. Weakness, a vexed senator's crystalline. Form flickered with confusion, but your ships, they were clearly civilian. Vessels, they were both, Chun replied. Human hospital ship can save 1,000 lives in a day, the same ship can destroy a fleet if that fleet threatens the innocent. We designed them that way because we hope never to need the weapons, but we are not fools. We knew that someone might mistake our mercy for helplessness. He paused, looking directly at the empty seat where General Korvik used to sit. You wanted to see what humans are capable of when we stop being neutral, Chun said. Now you know. We do not fight like you fight. We do not think like you think, and we do not forgive like you forgive. The Senate chamber was silent for the first time in years. No one was arguing about the war. Chun continued. Earth offers you all one chance. End this conflict. Negotiate a real peace, except that there are better ways to solve problems than killing each other. Do this and we will help you rebuild what you have destroyed. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of creatures from 100 different worlds. Refuse, he said quietly, and learn what humans do to those who prey upon the innocent. The session ended in chaos. Both sides were demanding emergency military conferences. Some wanted to attack Earth immediately, before the humans could deploy their full strength. Others called for immediate peace negotiations. But in the ships traveling through hyperspace, human crews were already implementing their own solution. They were not waiting for politicians to decide. They were ending the war themselves, one battle at a time. Captain Martinez stood on the bridge of the Hippocrates, now flying in formation with 20 other human vessels. They were approaching a swarm-high fleet that had been attacking civilian transports. Captain, her tactical officer reported, swarm vessels are not responding to surrender demands. Then we proceed to Option 2, Martinez said. Activate the neural disruptors. Dr. Vasquez's latest invention sent specific electrical patterns through space, patterns that disrupted the shared consciousness that held swarm fleets together. Individual swarm drones suddenly cut off from their collective mind, simply stopped fighting. Some tried to run, others sat motionless in space, confused and alone. For the first time in their lives, the call for a combined attack against Earth came from an unexpected source. Hegemony Admiral Vexstar and Dominion Queen Node Xeris, enemies for 5 years, stood together in a secret meeting room. On a neutral station, the humans must be stopped, Bexar said, her crystal in form pulsing with anger. They are destroying the natural order of things. War is how the galaxy settles its differences. Without conflict there can be no progress. Queen Node Xeris, speaking through her drone, representative agreed. The human approach threatens the foundations of our societies. Our warriors need enemies to fight. Our industries need weapons to build. These humans would make both unnecessary. Within days, both sides of the galactic war announced a temporary ceasefire, not to negotiate peace, but to deal with the threat that Earth represented. For the first time in 5 years, Hegemony and Dominion fleets began working together. Their target was simple: destroy Earth before humanity could spread its dangerous ideas further. They gathered the largest fleet in galactic history, over 10,000 warships from dozens of species, carrying weapons that could crack planets and technologies that could burn stars. It was enough Firepower to conquer half the galaxy. It should have been enough to destroy one small blue world fleet. Admiral Jackson stood in his command center, watching the massive enemy fleet approach Earth's solar system. His staff looked nervous, even with their advanced technology humanity was facing. Impossible odds, Sir. Commander Torres said quietly. Long-range sensors show over 10,000 vessels. Every major warship from both fleets. They're not coming to negotiate. Jackson nodded calmly. I expected as much. They see us as a threat to their way of life, in a way. They're right. He turned to address his entire command staff. Today marks the end of one era and the beginning of another. What happens here will determine whether the galaxy continues its cycle of endless violence or finally learns a better way. What are your orders, Sir? Torres asked. Jackson smiled, an expression his staff had rarely seen in the years since Luna Station's destruction. We show them what humans really fight for. Activate the Soul Defense Network. What happened next surprised everyone, including many of the humans involved. The approaching fleet expected to fight Earth ships in the outer solar system. Instead, they found themselves facing something unprecedented. An entire star system converted into a fortress. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter had been hollowed out and filled with defensive platforms. Each one carried weapons based on human innovations. Gravitational manipulators that could crush ships from the inside out. Quantum disruptors that could erase matter at the molecular level, and neural dampeners that could shut down biological computers across light years. But the most shocking revelation was not the weapons, it was their purpose. Instead of destroying the approaching fleet, the Soul Defense Network simply stopped it. 10,000 warships found themselves unable to move, their weapons offline, their crews unharmed but completely helpless. Admiral Vexar, commanding from her flagship, tried desperately to understand what had happened. Report, what is our status? All systems offline, her tactical officer replied in confusion. Power is nominal, life support is functioning, but weapons and propulsion are completely dead. It's as if they've been surgically removed from our computer networks. On the Dominion flagship, Queen Node Zeras was experiencing similar problems. Her hive mind could not understand how the humans had neutralized threats without violence. In swarm thinking, an enemy was either destroyed or it was still dangerous. These humans had created a third option, completely harmless enemies. Fleet Admiral Jackson opened a communication channel that reached every ship in the massive fleet. His image appeared on thousands of screens addressing the combined leadership of the Galactic War, commanders of the Hegemony Alliance and Dominion Empire. He said calmly, "You have come here to destroy Earth because you believe we threaten your way of life. You are correct, we do threaten it, but not in the way you think." He gestured, and holographic displays activated on every enemy ship, showing images from across the galaxy. While you gathered your fleets for this attack, our forces have been busy. In the past month, we have intervened in over 300 battles. We have stopped the destruction of 47 worlds. We have prevented the deaths of over 2 billion beings. The images showed human ships arriving at battle sites not to join either side but to force both sides to stop fighting. Swarm fleets found their Biocomputers shut down mid-attack. Korath warriors discovered their weapons would no longer function. Vex planet crackers simply turned off when they tried to destroy inhabited worlds. You see, Jackson continued, we are not interested in conquering your territories or enslaving your peoples. We are interested in something much more dangerous to your current way of thinking. We want you to stop killing each other. Admiral Vexter found her voice. You cannot simply end war. Conflict is natural. It drives the evolution, progress, the advancement of civilization. Is that what you call this? Jackson asked. He displayed images of the destroyed worlds, the billions of refugees, the children orphaned by 5 years of galactic conflict. This is not progress, this is waste. Queen Norder spoke through her drone. The strong must dominate the weak. This is the natural order. Without this pressure, species becomes soft, complacent, ineffective. Jackson's expression hardened. You want to see what humans consider strength. You want to understand what we have learned in our short time among the stars. The holographic display changed, showing Earth's solar system as it was. Now, the massive defensive network, the hidden shipyards, the technologies that had neutralized 10,000 warships without firing a single destructive shot. We had 50 years to prepare for this moment. Jackson said, 50 years since first contact, when we learned about galactic civilization and its endless wars. In that time we made a choice. We could join your cycle of violence, or we could find a better way. He paused, letting the implications sink in. Every ship you see disabled around you was built in secret while we publicly maintained our neutrality. Every technology we used against you was developed while we claimed to be peaceful. Every strategy we employed was planned while you dismissed us as naive pacifists. Commander Torres, standing beside Jackson, spoke up. We studied your wars for 50 years. Every battle, every tactic, every weakness in your thinking. While you fought each other, we learned from both of you, and we built something neither of you expected. What? Admiral Vexar demanded. A military design not to win wars, Jackson replied, but to prevent them. Over the next 6 hours, something unprecedented happened in galactic history. Instead of a battle, there was a negotiation. Not between equals, but between children who had been fighting in the playground and the adult who had come to stop them. The terms were simple. Both the Hegemony Alliance and Dominion Empire would declare an immediate ceasefire. All military operations would halt. Prisoners would be exchanged. Refugee populations would be returned to their home worlds. When those worlds were habitable again, any violation of the ceasefire would result in immediate human intervention. And if we refuse? Queen Node Zeras asked. Admiral Jackson's response was calm but absolute. Then your fleets will remain disabled until you change your minds. Your worlds will find their weapon systems mysteriously offline whenever they try to attack each other. Your warriors will discover that their ships simply will not respond to orders for violence. You cannot police the entire galaxy. Admiral Vexstar protested. Watch us, Jackson replied. The demonstration came within hours. A rogue Karth commander, furious at the force piece, attempted to attack a swarm colony with a nuclear weapon. The missile simply shut down mid-flight. The Kora ship found itself surrounded by human vessels that had appeared from nowhere. The commander was taken into custody, and delivered to a neutral tribunal for trial. His crew was released with apologies for their leader. Actions across the galaxy similar. Incidents occurred. Every attempt to restart the war was quickly and efficiently stopped by human forces that seemed to be everywhere at once. It became clear that Earth had not been sitting idle during their years of neutrality. They have been watching, learning, and preparing for this exact scenario. 6 months after the battle that never happened, Ambassador Chen Wei stood once again before the Galactic Senate, but this time he was not asking for permission to remain neutral. He was announcing the creation of something new. The Terran Accord is now open for membership, he said, addressing representatives from hundreds of worlds. We offer protection to any species that renounces aggressive war. We offer trade partnerships to worlds that choose development over destruction. We offer our technology to those who will use it to heal rather than harm. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Dozens of species exhausted by years of war immediately applied for membership. Others, particularly smaller civilizations that had been caught between the two major powers, saw the Accord as their chance for real independence. But the most surprising applicants were from within the former war fleets themselves. Commander Tasker of the Korra Third Fleet submitted formal application. My people are tired of fighting, he said in his statement.